Welcome once again, nerds, to the news. This week, Korn have finally achieved something they've been trying to do for approximately 30 years. A popular streaming platform has a pretty major policy change. We have American Horror Stories both is and isn't happening this season. Wheel of Time might actually finally be getting some love. Zack Snyder attempts to go where many others have gone and failed previously. Plus, Kevin Feige is said to be starting an all-new, all-different female superhero group in the MCU. That is kind of the rough headlines. We've got so much more to talk about this week, so let's jump into it. Okay, nerds. So housekeeping, we're starting off real quick. I'm going to try and keep... so first bit of housekeeping, I'm going to try and make this a fairly quick episode. I mean, obviously it is the full episode, so it's going to be a long one just in general. But as far as like on my side of things, there's probably going to be fewer edits than previously, just because I'm on a major time crunch this week. So yeah, I'm still going to get you as many headlines as I have found for the week, which is quite a bit, honestly, but it might just be a little bit more sloppy. So there's your heads up for the episode at large. But also, we're looking at approximately 3 weeks before we are into the off season, which there is a format shift for the off season. We will be going to a live format so that there is even less editing involved. But you can also interact directly with the episode as it is happening when we do the live format. So that's pretty cool. It seems like it's probably going to be Tuesday nights that we do our live shows, so be aware for that. It will be a fair shift in the schedule, considering right now I generally try and get uploaded by Wednesday, but usually it's not until like late Wednesday evening, which means most people don't watch it until Thursday. It's gonna be about a 2-day shift for most people, unless you're on the audio platforms, in which case it shouldn't be a change at all, because I should be able to get the audio uploaded to the live outlets just fine in the regular schedule. So there is that. And next week we do have a minor shift in platform or in the structure as well, because I have a lot of things going on trying to get some interview content for the channel. But so far with little luck. I am still pushing for it, but either way, the interview is not the thing that's screwing with the schedule. It's other things that are screwing with the schedule. So we will have an abbreviated show next week, probably just a bunch of suggestions and a rumor mill. And then I believe that is everything that we have for housekeeping. So that being said, let's move into the news. Okay, so music section this week. No follow-ups, no corrections, but we do have a bunch of other things in new music. We have Ice Night and Kills dropped a pretty great new single. We have Korn, like I said in the intro for the proper episode, Korn is doing something that they've been trying to do for 30 years, plus some pretty big news just dropped this morning before I started filming about Dream Theater. So let's talk about all of that. Like I said, no follow-ups, no corrections, but we do have a fair bit of new music to get through, so let's start there. First piece of new music comes from Green Day, and it seems the shtick is not dead just yet. New single called The American Dream Is Killing Me comes from their new album called Saviors, which is set for a release on January 19th of 2024. It's so nice when multimillionaires complain about the system being broken. Like, you used this system to get to where you are, and you live a pretty comfortable lifestyle because of it, and somehow you don't enjoy that. Okay, but I think they're also... So the song is fairly well done if you take their ridiculous politics and their ridiculous mindset out of it. The song is fairly well done, and it's basically what you would expect from Green Day these days. But the video itself, I feel like they're really mixing their metaphors. This is what happens when you have bad politics that you don't fully understand yourself, is that you try and make a statement going one direction, and you really make it going against what you actually believe. It would seem that they're drawing a metaphor metaphor between the zombies in this video and average people, and then at one point they start shooting zombies. I don't think that's what you meant to say, Billy Joe Armstrong. Maybe it is. Maybe you don't like the plebes anymore. Maybe you see yourself as above them because more of them seem to be coming out as kind of conservative, at least at the very least not crazy liberal, and so that makes you uncomfortable, so you want them to die? I don't know, maybe that's the message, and they're not mixing metaphors. Either way, the video's a little broken, the song's fairly well done, but the message is garbage. Then our next piece of new music comes from Duff McKagan, longtime bass player for none other than Guns N' Roses. He's doing some solo work. This single is called I Just Don't Know, featuring Jerry Cantrell. Third solo record called Lighthouse is where this one comes from. It is out now. Lyrics for this, kind of trite. There's just a little, it's well done, it's well performed. I didn't know Duff could sing so well. I haven't listened to any of his solo stuff up until this point, but I just feel, I don't know, the Jerry Cantrell addition to the performance kind of goes unnoticed. If you're just listening and you're not watching the video, then you don't really know that he's there. So kind of another wasted potential for a guest appearance. But overall, a pretty solid track, and definitely if you're into throwback rock, if you're into this kind of radio alt-rock-ish stuff, then you're definitely going to be into this. Nothing really glaringly wrong about this, except for from a lyrical standpoint, and at that point, you're kind of just splitting hairs. So, mild recommend for sure. Our next piece is Rivers of Nile has put out a new single called Hellbirds. Fun deathcore? Sure, this is almost like some sort of weird amalgamation of like Toxic Holocaust and Slaughter to Prevail, maybe not quite that heavy on the deathcore side of things, but either way, these guys, the lyrics of the song, the video that they've made to go along with it, all just kind of lean towards this very fun vibe, the surface level very fun vibe. There could be something a little deeper there that I'm not quite getting on my initial listen, but either way, it's very well done, very well produced, and the video just makes these dudes seem like they would be great fun to hang out and have a couple beers with. So if you're looking for a little bit of a break in the seriousness of your deathcore, but you still want to keep it heavy, Rivers of Nile is a great band to do that with, and this song Hellbirds is a fairly good way to go. So yeah, definitely a recommend for this one. Our next one is the Ice Nine Kills track that I talked about a moment ago. The name of the song is Meet and Greet. The video and lyrical basis for the song, I think, is a good way to say that, is Silence of the Lambs this time around. So going with the horror theme that we've been covering over the last 3 records, this is the 3rd record that this one comes from. This is also the conclusion for the video series that they've been doing for these albums. Started, I think, actually with the 2nd record. So the first one didn't really factor in as much, but it was presented, strangely enough, at a fan viewing as a completed movie, so that's pretty cool. Spencer Chamberlain, lead singer for Ice Nine Kills, is a big horror fan, and the rest of the band, I would imagine, are too. That's why they're letting him do what he's doing, but the more these guys write music, the more they put out this kind of stuff, and the more they really get into finding the voice that they have, the better they get. This song, I would put it on the same level as, oh, and I'm going to brain fart the single from the last record that I really loved, the Pet Cemetery based one. But either way, this is on the same par as that. Probably not quite as good, but pretty dang close as that single. So I just have great hopes for the future of Ice Nine Kills, and this song is a prime example of why. Next track, I just couldn't not talk about this one. Dragon Force has released another new track. I know we've done Dragon Force, and I kind of say the same thing over and over when we talk about these guys, but this time I honestly couldn't pass up this release. It is Power of the Triforce, so it is a Zelda-themed song. The video, not so much. It's Swords and Sorcery related video, but not directly to Zelda, probably because licensing reasons, but they still keep all of the Zelda references in the lyrics, so that's a thing. Dragon Force plus Zelda equals kind of amazing. Still on the shorter side for a Dragon Force song, but they got their speed back, so that's always a good thing. Still not a fan of the new vocalist. This guy just is almost where he needs to be, but definitely has a lot of work to do, and I hope he's doing it. but still a crazy fun track. Just super nerdy all around. You've got power metal, you've got Nintendo references, you've got specifically Zelda references, and dragons and magics and wizards and sorcery, and yeah, this is just my bread and butter all over, and probably should be yours to a certain degree as well. It's definitely worth a listen. It's a whole hell of a lot of fun. Go listen to the new Dragon Force Power of the Triforce song. Next new piece of music comes from a band that I honestly love and somehow didn't see when this song, well, no, I take that back. I did see, I just didn't realize it was 2 weeks ago. So we could have put this 2 episodes back when it launched. Maybe even last week's episode more appropriately, because I think it came out between 2 episodes ago and last week. Either way, the name of this new Lord of the Lost song is One Last Song. This whole new record, the Blood and Glitter, I think is, I didn't write it down in the notes because we've talked about it previously, so I didn't think it was relevant. Either way, the new record seems to be a lot more leaning into the goth side of their sound and a little less into the metal side of their sound. Not a whole lot of aggressive vocalists, and I did not write any of the band members' names down, and I'm sorry, I don't know any of them off the top of my head either, so I'm just going to refer to them as their roles, but the vocals don't really get into the more aggressive side of things. They're just a lot more introspective and kind of that forlorn tone that he takes a lot when they're doing the more gothy stuff, and I'm still here for it. It's not exactly the Lord of the Lost sound that I fell in love with, but I'm still in love with it, if that makes sense. But yeah, good one. This is one that I think they're writing for their funerals, or for, you know, just the general, hey, people don't really write funeral songs anymore, so let's do that. And it works. It is somehow thematically appropriate for the guys in Lord of the Lost. Yeah, I'm here for this one, absolutely. This is a wholehearted recommend for Lord of the Lost. One Last Song. Go check it out. And then our final piece of new music has to do with Kat Von D somehow. Apparently Kat Von D has a music career these days, and she just put out a single called Vampire Love. Yeah, trying to be goth, really just fodder for going out to the club. I'm not much for club music just for the sake of club music. I do like techno, I do like EDM, EBM, all of this stuff that would be considered club music to a certain degree. But, and also like hip hop and that kind of stuff, I'm also a fan, but like this is not really a shining example of any of those things. This is just a pretty decent producer, found a good beat that people are gonna move to, gave it to a name who wanted to get into the music industry. We've seen this happen before. See Paris Hilton, see, oh, I can't think of her name, redhead, whatever. Yeah, so previously this has been a thing that's happened. Jennifer Love Hewitt even got in on this back in the 90s. And I just don't know that Kat Von D really has the pull to make this a worthwhile venture these days. And just the song is so meh. There's nothing great about it. There's nothing really to write home, nothing exceptional. So this is a pass. I'm gonna have to say pass for sure. Now let's get into the tours and festivals portion of the music section. So kicking things off in this section, we have Stained has announced that they're going to be doing an North American tour. They're going to get support from Seether, I Prevail, The Struts, and Asking Alexandria. It's only an 8-day tour. It starts April 18th, runs through May 4th. Not a whole lot of places they're going, but I would imagine they are going to probably sell out all 8 of these dates. It's part of supply and demand. There's not a whole lot of supply, so don't give into it much, and then you create more demand than you have supply, and that also explains the supporting acts. They're kind of a little bit bigger names in the mainstream music scene these days than Stained is, I would say. I don't know, that's kind of a iffy territory there, because they do have years of pull behind them, but just recently they're a little less relevant. So I don't know, very interesting situation, but that's what it is. Let's move on. Hellfest 2024 is has been announced. I did not, for whatever reason, write the dates down because we're talking more about the bands, the big names that have been announced to be part of it. But the dates have been announced, so if you're watching, I will put them on screen right here. And some of the announcements that are involved are Megadeth, Bruce Dickinson, the Foo Fighters, Queens of the Stone Age, and so many more. This is an annual thing that really just is an experience that I wish to experience sometime before I die. Just huge announcement, Hellfest 2024. I believe tickets will be on sale soon, but they are not yet on sale. I think they're doing some sort of like pre-sign up for the tickets. So follow the link in the description to make sure I'm not a liar, and let's continue on, shall we? Next, after Hellfest, is Blink-182 have announced the obvious tour that they were going to do because they're putting out a new record. It's an arena North American tour. Support from Pierce the Veil. Starts June 20th, runs through August 15th. Tickets are on sale. Once again, follow the link in the description if you so desire. From there, let's talk next about The Devil Wears Prada. This one is going to be a second leg of the tour that they're currently on, Devil Wears Prada and Fit for a King. We talked about this when it was initially announced. The name of the tour is the Metalcore Dropouts. The new leg starts January 16th in Kansas City, runs through February 24th in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Tickets for this are also on sale. You have to go to the Bands in Town page to get tickets for it, but it is there. And then our final piece of touring news has to do with Greta freaking Van Fleet, because people love this band, so we have to cover them. Starcatcher Tour, North American leg, because they're currently on it in Europe right now. It is going to be 12 dates starting April 27th in St. Louis, Missouri, running through May 21st in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And tickets for that one, I believe, are also on sale, so go check it out. That's what we got for tours and festivals. Let's talk some regular-ass news. Music is a huge section this week. Regular-ass news, we're going to come out the gate with the big piece, and that is Korn, after 30 freaking years, finally have a deal with Adidas. That's right. Previously, when you've seen those promo shots of them from the 90s where they're all wearing Adidas tracksuits, well, those were not officially licensed tracks. They got a bunch of free merch from Adidas back in the day, so I'm not saying they got snubbed by the guys at Adidas, but they did not have an official merchandising deal, which means they did not get paid to promote Adidas. Adidas was just appreciative that they kind of sort of promoted them on their own, so they gave them a bunch of free stuff. In the late 90s and into the early aughts, Korn signed a deal with Puma, I believe is approximately 3 to 5 years or so, where they were only wearing Puma gear. So if you see promo shots of them wearing Puma jumpsuits and whatnot, that's why that is. But that ended a while ago, and they haven't really had that kind of merchandising deal since. Well, Adidas has come back to them with something huge. Not only are they doing a proper merchandising deal, meaning they're going to pay them to promote their brand, but also they have Korn exclusive items that they're going to be releasing with the Korn logo as well as the Adidas logo on the clothing. Shoes, sweaters, the tracksuits, all of this stuff is getting the Kornification, if you will. It is going to be limited release for these items, meaning a couple of things. One, it's going to be rather expensive for the items, and two, it's going to be exclusive. The only way to get your hands on any Korn merchandise directly from this Adidas launch is if you are a member at the Adidas website, and or you have the app and you do your membership through that. You don't have to go exclusively through the website. You don't have to go exclusively through the app. You can do one or both. Ideally, if you have one, you have both. I didn't look that far into the details because $180 for a hoodie is a little expensive for me. So it's you got shoes. It's pretty freaking cool. If you're a big Korn fan, if you're a big Adidas fan, you're probably going to want to check this out. Link in the description if you are curious for not just the website but also the announcement trailer over on the YouTube. From there, we have an interesting announcement from the guys over in Dimmu Borgir. here, the symphonic black metal pioneers, if you will. Pioneer, maybe not the greatest term. The people who made it famous? Whatever. They're announcing that they're releasing a covers album. It is going to span the course of their career, because I just apparently did not realize that some of the music on those Dimmu Borgir records were covers necessarily. I don't pay that close attention to the liner notes when I'm listening to the very little bit of black metal I do listen to. The name of the record is Inspiratio Profanus. It will be out December 8th from Nuclear Blast Records. No single has been released for it just yet, but most of this music has already been released on their albums up to this point, so you can go check that out, I guess. Otherwise, follow the link in the description if you want to see the announcement. Or no, it's one of the music videos, or maybe it's the announcement trailer, I can't remember. So much research this week that it's all blurring. Either way, there's a YouTube link in the description. Go check it out. From there, our final piece of regular ass news, we have Dream Theater has announced that they will be re-teaming up with Mike Portnoy, founding drummer for the band. They are also announcing that they're going to be in the studio in 2024. This will be the first record that Portnoy has been on for Dream Theater since 2009. Their current drummer, who was their drummer since Portnoy left, is Mike Mangini. He has made an official statement saying that he is not, there's no hard feelings. They've all made statements individually. Petrucci and such have all made statements individually saying, like, this is just kind of the natural things, the way things should have been, or should have evolved. I can't, words. No hard feelings is the gist of all of that rambling just now, though. So Mangini is going to move on to other projects, has nothing but love for the guys have nothing but love for him. Just Portnoy is the guy for the job a little bit more than Mangini is. Mangini said very explicitly in his statement that I was just the guy who they paid to play drums. I was not filling any other role in this band, which Mike Portnoy, being one of the founding members, filled many other roles besides just the guy hitting the skins. So there it is. That's what we have for regular ass news here in music, which brings us to the final portion, and that is suggestions. This week's musical suggestion, the final suggestion for the month of October, because when we come back next week, it will be November 1st. So, final musical suggestion for the month of October. We're going to go with the Nightmare Before Christmas soundtrack. Not just any version of the soundtrack, though. The 2006 re-release specifically, because we have a bunch of extra music with the 2006 re-release. Some popular bands did some songs for it. I'm sure you've heard them. Standout tracks are from that portion of the record. We have Marilyn Manson doing This Is Halloween, which is honestly pretty great, like almost equal to the Danny Elfman version, and that's a really hard thing to do, so check it out. Also, She Wants Revenge doing Kidnap the Sandy Claus is kind of amazing as well. Just all over this 2006 reissue of the record with the bonus discs and all that stuff is definitely worth a listen, so go check it out. That is your suggestion for the week. Let's talk gaming and tech next, shall we? This week in gaming and tech, we are talking about Twitch's policy changes, a couple of them actually. We have Marvel teaming up with Wizards of the Coast for a very fun announcement, as well as a deal that is going to make Elon Musk even more money. So yeah, let's get into this. Follow-ups and corrections is going to be the meat and potatoes of this section today. So, Instagram, starting things off for follow-ups and corrections. Instagram has a new feature that they will be rolling out, which is similar to other short platforms, but there is a new stickers feature coming to the platform that is going to enhance Reels and Shorts, or Stories rather. Sorry, Shorts is YouTube. It's going to be an AI-based feature. It's going to remove the subject from any photo that you have and create that as a sticker that you can then attach to, again, Reels and Stories. So, and all Also, you're going to be able to use other people's content for this, though that seems to be a little bit gray as to the exact regulations surrounding that. Are you going to be able to use whatever you want? Are people going to have to mark images that are going to be available for this? Is it going to be the other way around? Are you going to be able to take your sticker that you've made with your picture and attach it to somebody else's video? Like that, all of that was pretty murky with the announcement. So if there is a clarification made, we will be talking about that going forward. But right now, that's all we have. So let's move right along. Our next piece, we're going to jump into the Twitch bit. So the kind of the one that's getting the most attention, because it seems to be the most beneficial for creators, is the streaming policy. There has been a shift in Twitch's streaming policy that is going to allow anyone, with some caveats, to simulcast to any other platform. Previously, you could simulcast to a platform that was not viewed as direct competition. Apparently that didn't go over so well because they're not making the money they were expecting to, so they're changing it up a little bit. You can now simulcast to Twitch and YouTube and whatever other platform you want to stream to, all at the same time. The caveat here, though, is that it's only for people who do not have a contract with Twitch that says they are exclusively supposed to be streaming to Twitch, and that's it. So if you have a contract, if you are a Twitch partner and your contract says they have exclusivity rights to your streams, you're kind of boned. There's nothing you can do about it. But if you do not have that, then as the policy states, as it currently has been written, you can do whatever you want with your stream and they're not going to stop you. So that's pretty cool. Kind of effectively just writing into rule what's already been happening for smaller streamers, because nobody was enforcing the rule before. So yeah, anyway, from there, let's move over real quick to Netflix. We have another price increase for Netflix. The premium plan, which is the biggest, most high definition plan that they offer, has been bumped up from $20 a month to $23 a month. Just good information to have if you have a premium plan with Netflix. And then gaming side of the gaming and tech, we have Mortal Kombat 1 has patched a lot of stuff. They're waiting for the East Coast Throwdown, or East Coast Showdown rather, to come to its conclusion before they patched a couple of things, just because I honestly don't really know, because some of these things would have made the tournament go a little bit smoother, I would venture. But they got rid of the Sindel Infinite, they got rid of the glitch with Shao Kahn, where if somebody was using Shujinko as their cameo, then you could you effectively would lose the ability of your axe. There's a whole, I'll link to a Gaming with Glee, or who was it? Ruffelmonger, I think, is the one who made the in detail video for both of those. But they've also nerfed a bunch of stuff as well. And there's been some controversy around what has and has not been nerfed or buffed or what have you. So the big ones are Baraka. Some of the reactions for Baraka have been nerfed a bit. And the other big one is Cyrax. Cyrax now, his chopper copter costs, if you do the extended version of it, if you hold the button instead of just press the button, it now costs an entire cameo meter instead of just half your cameo meter, which is significant, I must confess. I've already fought against a couple Baraka Cyraxes online, and it changed the rhythm of the fight for sure. The big controversy, though, is some of the less than powerful characters got changes, but they're not really changes. They're it's a kind of a gray area, because it seems that some people are interpreting this as nerfs, when really the big one in my head is Scorpion. So before I saw the actual patch notes, because they didn't release the proper patch notes on the website, you have to get them through. There's a link in the description if you're very curious to the proper patch notes. But the proper patch notes have listed that Scorpion had a couple of his reaction times adjusted so that they didn't glitch or something along those lines, which is really not affecting my gameplay with Scorpion much. Scorpion is my main, even though he's one of the weaker ones in this game, and it's driving me a little bit crazy. But like, it's almost unnoticeable. And I say almost, it's largely unnoticeable, the tweaks that they've done to that character. So I saw some pretty big community backlash for quote-unquote nerfing Scorpion, and I don't really see that as having actually happened. A couple of the other things are very minor too. It's mostly just reaction times, glitching, visuals, and so on and so forth that got tweaked. So if you want the full rundown of the patch notes, again, there is a link down in the description. From there, let's talk about the launch. Ooh, more gaming stuff. Launch of Metal Gear Master Collection Volume 1. All of the launch issues are noted. Largely, these are going to be frame rate issues. There's a couple of typos, there's a couple of timing issues with certain things that aren't really majorly affecting gameplay, just kind of affecting the experience of replaying these games again. So for those of us that have the entirety of Metal Gear 1 and 2 memorized, you're gonna notice a couple of weird things as far as like cinematics go. Some sections of the game you drop a lot of frames, you're gonna drop them down. I think some people are showing like pretty slideshow style frame rates. You're looking at like 8 frames a second and stuff. That's all been noted by Konami. They know that it's happening. They have stated that they are working on the patch that will fix all of these things, though a couple of things should be noted about that. First off, it is not going to be one big patch. It is going to be a series of smaller patches, and it's going to be a series of smaller patches over the course of time. So as they find something, or as they fix something rather, they're going to patch it and release the patch and then move on to the next issue. So it could be, 10 patches, it could be 3 patches. No date has been set for any of this information, but as it does, we will be talking about it. That is what we got for the follow-ups and corrections. We do have one trailer this time around, and once again, it's Mortal Kombat related. This time it is the new mobile game Mortal Kombat Onslaught has finally launched properly. Apparently the previous launch was like a soft launch to test it. They just kept going. I don't know. The details were super muddy around this one because it didn't launch in any of their major territories. It only launched in some like peripheral territories, secondary territories even. And so very interesting situation here, but we got a launch trailer. It is now available for free on your iPhone or Android device, so go check it out for sure. And if you have a good PC emulator for Android, let me know that can handle Onslaught, because I don't. So I can't really play it. I just have to watch videos online. Anyway, from there we have regular ass news to talk about. In regular ass news, honestly, I think the biggest one here is Marvel and Wizards of the Coast. Wizards of the Coast has teamed up with Marvel to include Marvel storylines into their Magic the Gathering card game. So there's going to be Marvel related cards and Marvel related storylines in Magic the Gathering. That's very interesting to me because I have a Marvel card game. I'm sure I'm one of like 10 people anymore that has it, but I have a Marvel card game in storage with all of my collectibles and stuff that's not part of the wall. And so this is ground that they've tread before, and we'll see if it works better this time. Probably will, because Wizards of the Coast kind of has a built-in fan base. They're not trying to create something from nothing. So that'll help. But the big caveat here is that it is not going to be on sale anytime soon. It is going to be 2025 before we start seeing the rollout of any of these cards, which I guess kind of is to be expected if you understand how this industry works. You have to create the new systems, and then you have to create the artwork, and then you have to create X, Y, and Z. So all of that stuff takes a lot of time to implement. So it kind of makes sense it's going to take them about a year to implement it. So there is that. And then our other piece of news for the gaming and tech section is Toyota and Lexus have announced that they have signed a deal that they're going to be adopting the Tesla charging ports. So any of the Tesla charging facilities, I guess you could call them, and the charging stations is probably more the terminology they use, will be able to charge future models of Toyota and Lexus. This is not the first company, because Lexus is owned by Toyota. Lexus is their luxury brand. This is not the first first company to sign a deal with Tesla to do this. They're just the most recent in a line of companies. So Elon Musk is going to control the world eventually, right? Either it's going to be him or China, and I guess it's a battle to the top for that, because Bezos doesn't care anymore, it seems. But yeah, so interesting, kind of not ground-shakingly unexpected. The standard will roll out with Toyota and Lexus model vehicles once again in 2025. So any of the 25 models, which will start rolling out about halfway through 24, are the ones that are going to have this new standard for charging. So trade in your old electric Toyotas because you're not gonna be able to charge them anymore. It's probably the message here. But that's all we got for Gaming and Tech Regular. Let's get into suggestions for Gaming and Tech this week. And we're going not probably where you would expect. We're going to Halo Infinite because Season 5 has just dropped a little over a week ago. And the Flood Armor is very Halloween appropriate and is free. One version of the Flood Armor is 100% free. All you got to do is play through the season and you get the Flood Armor, and that's pretty cool. But there are effectively 3 base portions of Flood Armor. One of them you have to pay for, one of them you earn through the Battle Pass, which is free, and the other one you earn through Mastery. You get through levels of your character in this season. So that's not, I mean, technically that's also free, but it's very difficult. So there's that. But either way, Halo Infinite is honestly so much more fun to play today than when it launched 2.5 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, I guess. And Season 5 is kind of a great example of that. I would say if you are a fan of the Halo franchise and gave up on it because of how poorly the launch of this game was handled, then now is a perfect time to revisit Halo Infinite, especially for your Halloween themed stuff. Go check out Halo Infinite Season 5, your suggestion for the week. Comic books and books this week. We are talking about Marvel, Disney, Lucasfilm, Star Wars book that is getting canceled. Kind of saw that one coming. We also have Zack Snyder boldly going where other people have tried to go before and failed rather miserably, as well as a Thundercats reboot over at Dynamite. So that and a little bit more. Let's talk about it, shall we? First up, follow-ups and corrections. This week is the Star Wars Bounty Hunters book that we talked about when it launched a little over a year ago and we're so hype about. And the first few books were actually not bad. It didn't really hold up that quality for very long, but it was all right. It's not the greatest Star Wars book ever, but it's not the worst either. Getting canceled. Issue number 42 is going to be the final issue. It is going to launch January of next year, and that is going to be the end of the series. Maybe sadly, a little bit, I don't know. So from there we have a trailer to talk about. It's a new Avengers book that has been announced, Avengers Twilight. It's going to be launching January of 24. The writer is Chip Zdarsky with art from Daniel Acuna, sorry. So that's pretty freaking great. The trailer is pretty good, man. Very interesting premise. I am a fan of Zdarsky's work, generally speaking, so definitely interested, if nothing else. From there, we have some regular-ass news to talk about. Let's do this. We have Rebel Moon. Zack Snyder is going to attempt to do a prequel comic for his universe that he's starting with Netflix. The Rebel Moon comic is going to be published by Titan Comics. It's going to be House of the Blood Axe. Now, this is where this gets a little interesting. We have the writer is going to be Mags Visaggio, and that has a lot of people concerned. And then art is going to be from Clark Bent. I'm not familiar with Clark Bent. From what I have seen from the previews of this new book, it looks pretty good as far as the artwork goes. But Mags Visaggio is a kind of a SJW type, if you will. And I'm not generally one to use that term, but like that's kind of the most succinct way to put the way that this person presents themselves on the internet. I'm pretty sure, and I very well could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Mags is a trans writer, which in and of itself is nothing wrong with that. But when you get into the activism side of that statement, the activism side of what that connotation is, that's where things start to get a little sticky. And that's where the big two right now are really running into issues, is because their activist writers are writing things that nobody wants to read that actually reads comics. So if you write a comic book for people who don't read comics and then it doesn't get read and you start to wonder why, then it's on you, right? But it should be caveated here that Zack Snyder is definitely one who understands his audience fairly well, as has been evidenced many, many times over the course of the last 5 years. Zack Snyder is somebody who fully understands his audience and fully understands what they're expecting out of something with his name on it. So this writer has definitely been vetted fairly well through Zack. He has said, not in those words, but has said as much himself. So it will be interesting to see where this one goes, and we'll be keeping tabs as it goes there. Our other piece is Thundercats. Dynamite Entertainment and Warner Brothers are launching a new comic book series that is based on the Thundercats. Not exactly a reboot from what I understand, just kind of new stories in the universe. Writer is going to be Declan Shalvey. Art from Drew Moss. Drew Moss is noteworthy because he's worked on Gargoyles, The Dark Ages, Vampirella, Red Sonja, and Copperhead, all of which had beautiful artwork, so I'm super, super excited for that. Lettering by Jeff Eckelberry. Covers are going to be by Shalvey, as well as Lucio Perillo, David Nakayama, Jay Lee, and Ivan Tao. So this looks like they've got a lot of really great stuff coming behind it. It's Dynamite. Dynamite is really starting to make a better name for themselves, a bigger, more important name for themselves. They're becoming much more relevant in the comic book conversation, and I am super excited for that, because any party or any system that is pretty binary, like it has been for comic books for so long, really starts to deteriorate quickly, and there's not a whole lot the audience can do about it except for start their own companies, right? And we're seeing that happen. So not that Dynamite's a new company by any stretch of the means, but they are definitely somebody who is taking advantage of the fact that the system is eating itself right now, and that is awesome. So that is what we have for the meat and potatoes of the comic book section. Let's talk now about suggestions, shall we? Suggestion this week is going to be a book from Jeff Lemire, The Bone Orchard Mythos. The first book in the series is called The Passageway, and it's just, Lemire is always a win. There's nothing else I can say about this other than Lemire is always a win. He's definitely good stuff. This is setting up a new universe that he's created over at Image Comics, and yeah, go check it out. Jeff Lemire, once again, Bone Orchard Mythos, The Passageway is the first collected book, and then I forget what the second collected book was, but worth your time reading. Go check it out. That's your suggestion for the week. Hey nerds. So I usually do this with Nerdagon, but he's pouting. Yeah, this is your reminder that if you haven't already, then maybe just click the subscribe button, maybe come back and share some of the stuff. It's a free thing for you to do. It takes, all of 30 seconds of your time, but it goes a super long way. I am a one-man show. I do all of this stuff by myself. So a little bit of love from the algorithm would really do me some good. And the only way that that's going to happen is if you tell the algorithm that what you are seeing here is good stuff as well. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much for your time. Let's get back to the news, shall we? Let's talk TV, shall we? This week in the TV section, we have some release dates and renewals over on Amazon, Gen V, Fallout, so on and so forth. We also have kind of a follow-up on the Daryl Dixon series that I missed when we were talking last week, as well as an update on the American Horror Stories series. So let's talk about all that, shall we? Follow-ups and corrections is going to start us off. We have Gen V has been officially announced for a second season. I feel like I say that with trepidation because I don't think it was from Amazon directly. I think it was through news sources who were saying that it was happening. I don't know that the official, but I very well could just be misremembering this because my notes are so thorough. But yeah, either way, it looks like Gen V is getting a second season for sure. that's all we got. Let's move on. Speaking of Amazon Prime, though, we have a date for the Fallout series from Jonathan Nolan and his wife Lisa Joy. Release date is April 12th, 2024. A brief teaser was launched as far as video goes. Has no actual footage from the series, but it's definitely full of Fallout imagery, so that should be playing on the screen now-ish. And then we have that follow-up on The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon. Trailer dropped for season 2 last week as I was editing, so you got to see bits and pieces of the trailer in the edit last week, but I didn't let you know that there was a trailer, so now I'm letting you know that there's a proper trailer. If you watched the final episode, nothing in this is going to surprise you necessarily, especially if you've been listening or watching this show for some time, because we talk about it pretty much every week because Walking Dead is great. From there, we have final one is Good Omens. Speaking of renewals, a third season is coming for Good Omens, though it should be noted that showrunner, director, and executive producer Douglas McKinnon will not be returning for the third and very likely final season of this series. I don't know that he's made a statement around this, actually. So no reason why he was not returning. He's just not returning. That's what we got for follow-ups and corrections. Let's talk next about trailers. We have a trailer for the event of the American Horror Stories season. Now, that's a weird sentence, I understand. Let's talk about that. Let's break it down a little bit. American Horror Stories is kind of the supplemental for the mainline American Horror Story. American Horror Stories is an anthology series that lives in the same universe, let's say, as the American Horror Story series. Previously, you get an American Horror Story season, and then a few months later, they do an American Horror Stories season while they're working on the next season of American Horror Story. I know this is so like S's and no S's and blah, blah, blah. But this season, we are not getting a proper season of horror stories. We're only getting a Halloween event, which actually, as you're probably watching this, is live up on Hulu. It's going to be 4 episodes, so 4 anthological episodes of American Horror Stories, and it's launching the 26th. So yes, probably as you're watching this, you could go flip on your Hulu and watch some American Horror Stories, because that's where it's going. This is part of the Hulu Ween special presentation that they do every year, and that's all we're getting for American Horror Stories this year, which is kind of significant because we're not getting any more American Horror Story proper for some time, because strikes kind of threw everything off, and the second half of this season is a little bit in limbo. As soon as we have a release date for it, I'll let you know, but I don't know how done it is or how much they need to do still, or so on and so forth, if they're going to be able to do any of it with the writer strike still going on. So that's the thing. From there, let's move over to regular ass news. What with, strikes still happening, there's not a whole lot, but we do have a release date announced for this year's Simpsons Treehouse of Horror. The new Treehouse of Horror day is going to be the 5th of November on Fox, if you want to catch the actual broadcast of it, or if you miss that and you want to see the Hulu rebroadcast, or just go watch it on VOD whenever after that, that will be available on November 6th. The reasoning for the jump, because theoretically they could put it out closer to Halloween, but there's football, so football takes precedence over nerds, it would seem, and that's kind of the way of things. So scheduling conflicts. This is not the first year that they've had to do the Treehouse of Horror after Halloween, so it's definitely not going to be the last year, save for if Simpsons gets canceled, which, isn't entirely out of the question. But that's all we got for news this week. Let's talk TV suggestions. This is the best damn haunted thing, best damn Halloween horror related thing ever. Honestly, hands down, my favorite horror IP to have graced screens in the history of screens is Haunting on Hill House, or of Hill House rather. The Mike Flanagan series that kind of started this whole Mike Flanagan shenanigans. It rhymes like I didn't mean it to. That started all of this was Haunting of Hill House, and honestly, he has not been able to best this, and no one has been able to best this since it came out. This is honestly the only thing that has legitimately creeped me out without being disgusting since I was a teenager, which was a long time ago. So yes, absolutely 100% for the Halloween season, go watch the entirety of Hill House, because yes, it is amazing and worth it. It's on Netflix. It's a reason to have a Netflix subscription in and of itself, is for the Mike Flanagan stuff. Yeah, and this is the best of it all. So I'm gonna stop rambling, go check it out. Movie section this week is not bad, actually. We have casting announcements for the American version of The Boy and the Heron. We have a really cool announcement around Wheel of Time franchise, as well as a new Guy Ritchie movie, which is going to be definitely making some heads turn. So let's start with follow-ups and corrections. We have Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is going to be on Netflix as of Halloween Day. October 31st, you will be able to watch Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse on video on demand if you have a Netflix account. That is the one follow-up, or no, that's the first follow-up. The second follow-up is Studio Ghibli. Boy and the Heron, the most recent Studio Ghibli film, has announced its American voice cast. The cast is as follows, and I'm going to mispronounce the Japanese names, and I apologize, but Christian Bale has been cast as Sochi Maki. Dave Bautista has been cast as the Parakeet King. Gemma Chan as Natsuko, Willem Dafoe as Noble Pelican, Karen Fukuhara as Lady Himi, Mark Hamill as Grand Uncle, Robert Pattinson as Grey Heron, Florence Pugh as Kiriko, Luce Padovan as Mahito Maki, and Madhu Athi, Tony Rivlori, and Dan Stevena as the Parakeets. So yes, hey, as we can expect with Studio Ghibli's Americanized versions anymore, huge, big stars in their cast for sure. Then that's what we got for follow-ups and corrections. Let's talk now about trailers. We got a couple of pretty great ones. Avengers Code Red, the Lego Avengers movie, got a new trailer this week. Looks pretty great. We got our first taste of Summer Vacation Wolverine. I have at least 2 different iterations of that artwork. I have a piece of the art. I also have the trading cards. This, I mean, that just brought all the nostalgia feels for sure. So there's some member berries wholeheartly in this. Let's hope they don't rely exclusively on the member berries, but either way, lots of fun to watch the trailer if nothing else. Then we're finally getting in, we're getting into Christmas movies. Best Christmas Ever, Netflix's big Christmas release. Got a trailer this week. It is going to be starring Brandy, Jason Biggs, and Heather Graham. Netflix is apparently becoming Lifetime with a budget, it would seem, based off of this trailer. I don't know, go check it out. Let me know what you think. Our next one is an A24 movie called Occupied City. This is not horror from A24, which whenever they do that, it just seems strange and out of place, but they do it plenty, so it shouldn't. But this is a historical documentary from Steve McQueen, I don't think there's any fictionalization, but there is some dramatization involved with it, so it seems very interesting. It has to do with World War II, so if you are a World War II buff or a Steve McQueen buff, because both of those things exist, this is going to be right up your alley. Or if you just are super intrigued by stuff that A24 puts out and they decided to put their brand of quality on, yeah, go check out the trailer for sure. And our final trailer has to do with another Netflix movie. I didn't realize that, honestly. Netflix movie called Leave the World Behind. The brief synopsis is, when an idyllic getaway suddenly erupts into chaos, trust unravels fast. Leave the World Behind, starring Julia Roberts, Mahershala Ali, Ethan Hawke, Myha'la, and Kevin Bacon, will be on Netflix December 8th. So they dropped this one a little over a month in advance. Seems to be like a good strategy for a trailer, but the trailer in and of itself is just interesting. So go check it out for sure. And then that's what we got for trailers. Let's talk about some regular ass news. We have The Wheel of Time getting a prequel. It is going to be from Jay Oliva. Oliva. maybe is how you say that. I apologize. But Jay has done previous work with DC Animation Studios as well as Marvel Animation Studios, has given us some of the best stuff in both of those houses. He is the guy responsible for Batman The Dark Knight Returns, both 1 and 2. He also did the Justice League War, Batman Assault on Arkham, etc., etc. This is the guy who, if you're going to do an animated movie, you kind of want him in charge, because that's some of the best, like I said, some of the best stuff that DC has done as far as their animated movies go recently. And I didn't put it in the list, but he's done some quality stuff with Marvel Animation as well. So, very interesting, because it's a Wheel of Time movie that he's working on, but it's going to be a prequel to the book series. So it's going to be before the book series, before the Amazon series. All of this stuff is happening after this movie that he's making. And so I don't know that this has happened before. I don't know if there's source material for him to pull from, aside from anything just noted in the book series about what happened in the before times. So intrigued, very much want to see what comes of this. That's all we've got, though. So let's move over to Guy Ritchie. And Guy Ritchie is one of the last living auteurs, so we got to talk about him, because movie nerds, you know, you got to have some sort of appreciation for that. But Guy Ritchie is doing a new film with Jake Gyllenhaal, Henry Cavill, and Aisha, I think is maybe how you say her name, Gonzalez, that is said to be an Expendables-like movie, which is very strange. Just means lots of action, I would imagine. The Lionsgate has picked up the distribution rights for it, so it will be seeing theaters. And just very intrigued by the idea of Guy Ritchie casting Jake Gyllenhaal and Henry Cavill. Aisha Gonzalez is what it is, but Gyllenhaal and Cavill in an Expendables-like movie. Color me interested, for sure. That's what we got, though, for regular ass news. Let's talk about our suggestion for the week. Best Halloween horror movie, whatever. Best horror movie ever freaking made. John Carpenter's Halloween 1978. This is the slasher to end all slashers. Everyone has tried to imitate this, including other Halloween movies, and very dramatically failed. You cannot get a better slasher movie than this, save for, you know, things that are just borderline slashers like Terminator or Alien. But yeah, 1978's Halloween, John Carpenter classic for a freaking reason. This is probably going to be my suggestion every year at Halloween, because this is something that you should watch every year on Halloween. This movie is the movie. Check it out. Halloween is your suggestion this week. That puts us at the rumor mill, and yeah, kind of rushing to the finish line here. Rumor mill this week, we have a new superhero team, new to the movies anyway, superhero team that is rumored to be coming from Kevin Feige, as well as a Wonder Woman casting announcement, and Fantastic Four has a very interesting update as far as the rumors go as well. So let's do this, shall we? Starting things in the rumor mill, we do have a confirmation this week, and that is that Deadpool is getting an R rating. I don't know that this was necessarily confirmed this week or previously, but it was officially announced from the director of the movie that they're shooting for an R rating. So there's going to be blood and Wolverine and cursing and so on and so forth. So yeah, I think this might actually be the second time we've confirmed this, because previously Iger said something about it in an investor's call, if I remember correctly. Either way, that's what we got there. No new sources for old rumors, just new rumors. So let's do that. First up, we have a new team coming to the MCU. Actually, we have two new teams. This is not the one we've been teasing in all the intros. This one is Young Avengers. This one's kind of been circling for some time in the rumor mill, but now we have a little bit of a more solid source, as well as a little bit more information about the existence of this team. So the movie is said to be coming to the MCU and is going to feature the return of Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop. It is going to be Young Avengers. I don't know if I've said that yet, so I'm going to say that again. Young Avengers is going to be coming to the MCU, according to this rumor, with these characters being part of the Young Avengers. This is what I mean by we finally have an expansion on what to expect from this. We have America Chavez, obviously Kate Bishop, Billy Kaplan, Cassie Lang, Kamala Khan, Riri Williams are the ones that are most likely, according to the rumor, most likely to be joining. And then we have a couple of possible joining. We have Elijah Bradley, the Patriot, and we have Tommy Speed. So yeah, this has been something that has been kind of a poorly kept rumor for some time, because we've been establishing some of these characters already. Riri Williams, Kate Bishop. We've been alluding to Billy Kaplan as well as Tommy and Kamala Khan, so on and so forth. So yeah, they're establishing these characters. It only makes sense that that's the direction they're going. But we don't have any sort of official confirmation from the studio. Things seem to be very, very much in flux these days at Marvel Studios, so that's kind of why it's dropping this down a bit, and we're sitting at about a 70% likelihood that we will be seeing the Young Avengers become an actual superhero team in the movies over at the MCU. Yeah, I think there is a possibility this could be some good stuff if Feige approaches it correctly, so let's hope he does. From there, we have some release date rumors. Captain America and Deadpool, to be specifically. Captain America Brave New World is said to have been completed before the strikes go, as far as like principal photography and stuff, said to have been completed before strikes started, and Deadpool 3 is only approximately halfway through. So the new rumor is, because they're trying to hold on to as many of these release dates as they can, they're going to switch the release dates for Captain America and Deadpool 3. So it's going from May 3rd and July 26th, both of 2023. Part of the justification for this rumor, it was said, is that the Deadpool 3 movie is going to run directly into the new Avengers Secret Wars movie, which we've talked about this previously. So that's a part of the reason why they're switching it. But the release schedule for Avengers Secret Wars puts it approximately 3 years beyond this. So a matter of a few months is kind of irrelevant. So I don't know how well that factors into it. But the biggest thing here is the strikes have really thrown things kind of awry. So that's the biggest reason why we're going with this one being very, very likely. We're looking at about an 80% chance that we will be seeing an announcement officially swapping the dates for Captain America Brave New World and Deadpool 3. Those two movies are very likely going to be getting swapped in the not too distant future. So this next group of superheroes is called the Daughters of Liberty. They do exist in the comic books, and it is now being rumored that Feige is moving towards a direction that would introduce them into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Possibly they're going to connect it to Agatha or Captain America Brave New World, so kind of factors into the previous two rumors that we've been talking about. But according to the rumor, the characters that they're going to have to introduce for this superhero group to exist, we already have Peggy Carter. And we don't have the Dryad, Harriet Tubman. Aja Adana, Black Widow exists, kind of, but she's in the comic books, so maybe not. Echo, they're starting to do something with. Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman, they're starting to do something with. Misty Knight, Invisible Woman, very likely is going to be coming into play soon. Agatha Harkness, obviously. Avaya Ayala, I don't know that character, and Alexa Lukin, I also don't know that character. So yeah, there's a little bit of groundwork if they want to have the same list of characters from the comic books, but most of these characters are already here, so maybe they're just going with the ones that they already have. This one is slightly less likely, but I don't know, just seems to be inside of Feige's playbook. So we're going to give it the same that we gave the Young Avengers. We're going to sit at a 70% likely that we will be seeing the Daughters of Liberty into the MCU in the near future. Semi-distant future, actually, is probably more appropriate. From there, let's talk about DC. We have Wonder Woman casting announcement, apparently. Aisha, I think that's how you say her first name, Gonzalez, is said to be the new choice for Diana Prince in James Gunn's DCU. If you don't know her, you probably know her face. She was in Alita Battle Angel. She played Nisyana, is the character. She was also in Bloodshot with Vin Diesel, Hobbs and Shaw. She was in Godzilla vs. Kong. She's been in quite a few things, so you're going to recognize her face, probably not know why, and that's why. So likelihood for this, it seems she's a younger actress. We're not going to be able to do anything with this rumor until the actors strike ends, because that's when these kind of announcements are going to be made. So it's going to be some time. It also seems very strangely in the timing because of that as well. So that's what's bumping this down a bit more. We're going with about a 65% likelihood that this is a thing, because it's possible that Feige did this before, or James Gunn rather, did this before the strikes happened and just has been playing the media for some time with the Gal Gadot stuff, or this is just wishful thinking on somebody's part. We don't know that yet. So again, 65%. Which moves us over into Fantastic Four. This is not a casting rumor, believe it or not. In the traditional way, anyway. This is more of an announcement of a character inside of this universe. Previously, we talked about the possibility that they're going to do a different Herald for Galactus, assuming Galactus is going to be the big bad for the Fantastic Four movie. Well, this new rumor is saying that no, it's not going to be who we talked about previously. It's going to be Frankie Ray Nova. Who is the rumored herald for Galactus. Though certain sources who are talking about this rumor, most of them say Frankie Ray Nova. There has been a little bit of doubt whether or not it's going to be actually Frankie Ray Nova, or if people are just misinterpreting that they're going to gender swap the Silver Surfer, and it is going to be Silver Surfer in the end. That seems much less likely than the Frankie Ray Nova stuff. But there is enough static out there to cast doubt on both sides of this rumor. So we're going to split the difference and go right up the middle-ish and say about 55% likely that we are going to be seeing Frankie Ray Nova as the herald for Galactus. And then our next rumor is Spider-Man 4. Spider-Man 4 is supposedly going to go into production in 2024. No way to really verify this or do anything. It's one source. It's a fairly good source. It's given us good stuff before, but it's only the one source. So too much static going on, too much striking going on, splitting the difference, saying 50% could go either way with this one. And then our final rumor is actually a poor gaming rumor, which we don't get very often, but we have a Mortal Kombat 1 rumor that is saying that we're going to be seeing the T-1000 possibly in the DLC pack number 2, Kombat pack number 2, T-1000, and it will be played by Robert Patrick, or voiced at least by Robert Patrick, who made the character famous in Terminator 2 Judgment Day. The T-1000 is the liquid metal Terminator. Would be a really cool, interesting addition to this oeuvre of characters, to this mythology that I love so much, but just this rumor has been floating around in some form or fashion since Mortal Kombat 11. So this time it gets a little bit more credence because it was given to us by another one of the voice actors involved with the Mortal Kombat franchise currently. So there's a little bit more there. That's why it's not completely obliterated, but we're looking at about 40% chance likely that we will be seeing the T-1000 as voiced by Robert Patrick coming to the Mortal Kombat universe. And that's what we got for rumors, nerds. And that is the end of the episode. So what did I miss? What did we talk about in the next one? Let me know in the comments down below. Next one is going to be a little bit different because scheduling things are a little crazy over the next couple weeks, as well as we're probably not going to be doing That Just Happened this week. I might just save it all up like I'm doing for the shout out show and do one big That Just Happened where we talk about all the things, just like we're going to talk about and address all of the comments over the course of the last month in one big shout out show. So I think that's the direction we're going. Either way, stay tuned to the channel for more news and things and stuff. Hopefully some interviews in the not too distant future. And I love your faces, nerds. We'll see you in the next one. Before we go, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.